This is the Between Ghosts of El Paso Part 4. Let's do some recapping. We didn't have David last time, so I'm going to be a little bit more thorough with the recap than I would be normally. But we have currently 2 active threats. No progress was made whatsoever on the Daisy Man, so nothing has changed there, David. Your Vigilance Committee was entirely non-vigilant when it came to that particular threat. However, they made great progress on the new threat, which is the Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge. Let me remind you about the Daisy Man, kind of though what's going on. So the Daisy Man is the one where there is a person who is either a ghost robbing places on Santa Fe Street, or it is a person who has figured out how to walk through walls by harnessing power of the wounded knight, and they're robbing Santa Fe Street. But that's the threshold question. Like, is it a man or a human, I should say, or is it a ghost? And so that is sort of the deal there. You had previously interacted with folks at the Golden Spur, in particular, a gambler named Clarence O'Toole, as well as a traveling salesman, Lloyd Miller. The security man at the Golden Spur, Walt Lewis, who is immortalized in song because he tried to shoot the Daisy Man and nothing happened, was essentially kind of driven, I don't want to say mad, but like that's what it seems like, at least, like by this situation, and felt the need to redeem himself in some way, and so tracked down the Sidewinder Kid last time and for a duel. And now, of course, we know what really happened is the Lady in Gold put Walt in the Sidewinder Kid's path. But nevertheless, Walt is dead. So look out, Walt, you're dead. In terms of the brand new threat, or the newer one, the Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge, this is the one where we have 3 ghostly Texas Rangers who were massacred a year ago in Whispering Springs Canyon, and a 4th member of their company cannot be found. It is very clear to some tin miners who encountered them that the Ghost Riders intend to find the 4th Ranger, Jimmy Pike, and kill him because he apparently has done something to offend the Ghost Riders, or was maybe involved in the massacre. It's a little unclear. Now, what you all have to figure out before you try to find Jimmy, because Jimmy will run if he thinks you're looking for him, is why do the Ghost Riders want Jimmy Pike dead? Like, do they have a good reason or not? If they have a good reason, then you are we've decided that in El Paso during the Wounded Knight, you still have an obligation to help them get their revenge. Everyone has natural rights in this way. But if Jimmy was justified in whatever Jimmy did, then you have a right to defend. You have a responsibility to defend Jimmy. So you got to figure out what the deal is. It's been kind of alluded to that the Ghost Riders are very easily confused. And so Jimmy's not worried about hiding from them. He's worried about hiding from anybody else coming looking for him. And so that's why you have to like figure out what the deal is first. And so you currently have an impressive 6 clues on that question of why do the Ghost Riders want Jimmy Pike dead. Obviously, you don't have to use them all on that one, but because it will unlock another question once you answer it. But last session was essentially just like a really, really classic, like kind of genre thing where the group went out as a group and they just kind of they kind of retraced the Ghost Riders' steps and kind of investigated along the trail, like what was happening. They ended up in the mining camp ultimately, and that's where they had their night phase. It was a very downbeat mining camp or night phase where they just were like kind of hanging out at the mining camp and ingratiating themselves with that group. And so that's sort of what's going on last time. And so anybody have any questions about any of that? All right. You also currently have 3 mastermind clues on the mastermind threat, or on the mastermind. I think there's no other thing to call it. I think we're good to go then. Let's go over to our phase tracker. We are in the day phase. I will present a new threat if there are less than 3 active threats, and there are currently less than 3 active threats. You can follow along if you wish on the tab. Our new threat is called the corset. Lola Navas and Diamond Dave McMahon, co-owners of the Red Rock Cantina and Dancehall, have come to the Vigilance Committee with a terrifying story. 3 dead bodies have turned up at their establishment in as many days. The first was a dancer, Luann Fontenot, who was found with her abdomen completely crushed. Her ribs were shattered and some of her organs forced out of her mouth. The second was Sylvester Stanton, a local Lothario and Red Rock regular, who was flayed by sharpened shards of whalebone until he bled to death. Pieces of the material were found artfully arranged in his face. The third was a piano player, Marta Pina, who was found sitting at her piano as still as a mannequin, her blood hardened in her veins like cement. A burgundy satin corset with lacy black trim was found near each body on a dress form, as if someone had placed it there after doing the killing. Lola and Diamond Dave haven't told anyone else about these killings. They're trying to keep things under wraps so as not to scare away their remaining employees and customers. I'm going to direct this question to Wyatt Walker. You had a close relationship with one of the victims, either Luann or Sylvester or Marta. Which victim of those 3, and what was the nature of that relationship?
I think that Sylvester Stanton was the old marshal's deputy, so I knew them quite well.
Fantastic. And now, who has the highest sensitivity of you? I think it is Slade.
Yep.
Slade, Lola and Diamond Dave reveal something that confirms the killer is actually the corset, that it's possessed by some sort of malignant spirit. What is it?
Woven into the inner seams of the corset are symbols and sigils of a demonic nature.
Very good. And it's something that presumably only you, like they describe it and you recognize it, right? So now, Lola and Diamond Dave have put the bodies in the Red Rock's root cellar. The corset is currently in their apartment under lock and key. They understand the Vigilance Committee needs to take whatever steps are necessary to get to the bottom of this situation, but they nevertheless request you don't disrupt their business by causing a panic. You have 2 questions, either of which can be pursued. What does the corset want, and how can the corset be controlled? What does the corset want is a complexity 6. It allows you to resolve the threat by striking a bargain with the entity possessing the corset so that it moves on from El Paso. How can the corset be controlled is a complexity 8. Resolve the threat by subduing the entity possessing the corset. The corset can then be chosen as a reward. Now, there's also an aspect of the Janus mask available called the Mask of Beauty, which makes a return from Sally No Face, by the way. Each hunter narrates a flashback to a time when they felt truly beautiful. I forgot to mention it too, but Ghost Riders of Sawtooth Ridge has a mask as well, the Mask of Revenge, with the details are on the character keeper there. And so you have 3 very hot threats at the moment in El Paso. 2 of them, actually, with narrowing degrees of geographical specificity. Ghost Riders kind of takes place all over. Daisy Man is on one street, and the corset is in one building. So, or well, 2 connected buildings, but one establishment. And so let's go around the table and find out what everyone's interested in doing. I will start with, let's just go in the order of the sheet. So, Travis.
I think Travis is going to check in with his brother and see what he gets assigned to do. But if given his own way, I think he wants to follow up on the Ghost Riders.
If David's okay with it, we'll have that be the first scene with the 2 of you.
Mm-hmm.
Slade, what are you going to do?
Are we assumed to still be at the mining camp, or would we have come home?
You can have come home. Fortunately, Fort Bliss is very close to El Paso. The long journey is to the mining camp. Fort El Paso and Fort Bliss are pretty close to each other, so you can kind of cut you don't have to go across the mountain to get to Fort Bliss. So, but yeah, you can be wherever you need to be. So
Yeah, I'll stay at Fort Bliss.
Okay.
Hard to walk on with that leg anyway.
That's true. Your leg is kind of in your inadequate body is currently injured. Sister Mary?
Well, I have 3 conditions, so I think I'm going to probably try and be vulnerable with my colleagues that are still in El Paso.
Yeah, so I'm going to be sending Travis to get you.
Okay.
Perfect.
That's what I'm thinking that first scene will be.
Well, let's have it. So why don't you frame it up, Wyatt? What's going on?
I think Wyatt Walker has been down with a fever. He's really, really sick, and he hasn't been able to get out in a while, and he's been coughing. And whenever the kid comes back from the missions, and Wyatt is kind of a little bit recovered from the fever, but like still kind of feeling weak, he's like calling him from his bedroom, the place where it used to be a lonely mattress and now is like the cot that he hauled back from the jail. He's like, Travis, that you?
Yeah, it's me, Wyatt. You feeling bad in there?
I feel like I got my wits about me, at least. Look.
Well, that's good. There's lots going on here.
Yeah, I think
I've
caught an inkling of what's been going on, but it sounds like you've had to do what you've had to do.
Yeah, about that.
What about that?
Well, you remember Walt Lewis?
The security man? Sure.
Damn it, Wyatt. I swear I tried to put him off, but he wouldn't be put off. He came for me, Wyatt. And I had no choice. I had to put him down. He's dead.
Is anybody else around that saw?
A couple of them miners, yeah.
Just the whole mining camp.
Well, seeing as I haven't heard any of them say somebody needs to be arrested, must be that, once again, somebody was trying to draw on you.
I swear it was, Wyatt, but damn. Walt Lewis, it don't make no sense.
I heard him shouting at you a while back. Have something to do with that?
Not that he said. Almost seemed like it weren't his choice.
I think something's going on in this town, something bigger than last time. I think we need to get everybody together. I'm gonna try and get the town meeting tonight, but in the meantime, if you could, can you fetch the Sister Mary Erswell? I got a little bit of business I need to take care of with her before I get up and about.
Sure, Wyatt, I can do that. Where's she at anyway?
I reckon I don't know, but I reckon you could find her. It's a small enough town.
I reckon I can.
Indeed. I will tell you, Travis, when you are making your way out to go find Sister Mary, you will notice that the brand spanking new First Bank of El Paso is having their opening ceremony today. The ribbon cutting is going on. There's a lot of people gathered. Oh, and by the way, that bank is on Santa Fe Street, so just worth pointing that out. Meanwhile, Slade, Fort Bliss. Let's talk about Fort Bliss. I love that name, Fort Bliss. It sounds very like inappropriate for for like the setting, the environment, the time period. But I assume it's named after someone. Fort Bliss is it may not be quite what you're thinking in 2022 eyes. As a little like real world side note, if you're Texan, you eventually make a pilgrimage to the Alamo, and the Alamo is like, it's so tiny. It's like smaller than like your house. Like it's so little. Okay. So like that's worth pointing out. Like it is not that impressive. In fact, Fort Bliss, also called Garrison Town, is just high adobe walls and heavy wooden doors. There are barracks packed tight with wooden bunk beds, and then there's a common room that sort of doubles as an admin office. Everyone's just kind of on top of each other. It's just kind of a high walled adobe building, basically. But let's paint the scene, everyone. The fort is here to help defend against frontier threats, but the wounded knight is having its say. In what subtle ways have the soldiers adapted to the strangeness in and around El Paso?
I think at this point in Fort Bliss history, it's got a wooden palisade, but in addition to the wooden palisade, it has a salt line.
The soldiers have all taken to wearing onion peels in their shoes. It's supposedly a form of good luck or protection. It's probably an old wives' tale, but you can never be too careful.
Yeah, and I think in some kind of unexpected deference to indigenous traditions, there are some signs that the soldiers have adopted some kind of Native American methods of warding off evil spirits and so on.
Which would be deeply ironic given Fort Bliss's main function at this point in history.
Exactly.
Above every door, a horseshoe is nailed with 7 nails.
So I think this is the kind of a situation, Slade, where basically Sister Mary and Travis just dropped you off in Fort Bliss before they headed back to El Paso because of your injury. It's just easier to let you recuperate there for a little bit. And so I think you've actually been here for a day or two, and you will have become aware, maybe even talked briefly. Well, no, let's say you haven't actually talked yet, but you know that the commander of Fort Bliss is Sergeant Alex Callahan. I have noted that in the character notes on the threat sheet. But also, there is a tin miner named Fernando da Silva who came to deliver the news about the Ghost Riders and never left. He refuses to go back to the tin mine. And a local reporter has showed up. Or not a local reporter, actually out-of-town reporter has showed up as well. So this story is starting to kind of like gain some traction even beyond El Paso a little bit. And of course, there's all just the various army grunts as well. What do you do?
I feel like maybe the reporter's probably going to be the most useful. I want to go to the tin mine.
Wait, you want to go back to the tin mine?
Well, I know we were at the campsite. Did we actually
to the actual mine? Oh, the mine itself. Oh, yeah, I guess you can. Yeah, if you want to. Yeah.
Figure that would be a really good place to hide if I was trying to hide from ghosts or anyone.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's an interesting idea. Also, it's worth reminding, maybe just for David's sake, more than anything, but I guess we could all stand to be reminded of it. You actually helped one of the tin miners die peacefully last time, and that tin miner spoke about things in the deep part of the earth, right? And so I don't know if that's also motivating you here or not, but in any case, you're in Fort Bliss. So what do you do?
Yeah, I'd like to get to know that reporter. Seems if he thinks there's a story there, he might be willing to go.
And it's actually her. Her name is Mel Brown. She has a very tan, line creased face. She wears a simple dress with a red bow in the back, and she has kind of a straw hat for traveling in the sun. And she's always tailed by her photographer, Bert Stevens. And it's they have a very like kind of, it's almost like a like affectionate like ma and pa kettle kind of like a relationship, you know. They're both a little older, and yeah, so you can't miss her. She has a really filthy mouth. You can hear her from all the way across the fort whenever she's got her dander up. What do you do?
Just approach her directly and say, "You are the reporter."
She looks at you and she says, "Yes, I'm a reporter. You don't look like much of a soldier."
I suppose not.
And she says, well, so what happened to your leg there?
I was shot by a ghost.
And she looks over her shoulder at Bert, and Bert kind of like gives her a kind of a funny look, and she says, "A ghost, huh?"
Yes, we are seeking the ghost riders out near Sawtooth Ridge. One of them did not like being sought.
They look at each other again. "Well, no shit," she says. "I think
No.
you and I could get to be real good friends." And she like takes your arm so that you can kind of lean on her a little bit while you are walking off into the to a table to go chat some more. Let's cut over to Travis and Sister Mary. So, Sister Mary, where does Travis find you?
I'm at the church that the locals have recently built, and I think Travis is going to find me up near the. It's a smallish church. It's very simple, you know, kind of wood built. And I think Travis is going to find me up near the altar, kind of like aggressively scrubbing out the floor, you know, suds and bubbles, and just sort of muttering angrily. Oh dear.
Travis, are you with us? You're muted.
Sorry, I'm having a connectivity issue there. Okay, I think I'm back. So yeah, Travis just Sister Mary, you in there?
Of course I'm in here. Where else would I be? You'd think, you know, brand new church that they just built, they'd at least be able to clean up their boot stains.
Travis kind of rolls his eyes. As you know, he's opened his mouth once and he's already getting a hard time from Sister Mary. Wyatt sent me to find you. He wants to have a
Why?
meet. He wants to have a meeting tonight.
Well, you tell your brother that he needs to step up his game. I'm really noticing that this whole town is falling into some sort of decrepit mess. People getting killed, people being robbed. You know, I'm responsible, and she's just like angrily pushing the scrub brush. I'm responsible for the salvation of this entire community. Me, myself, by myself. And you out there having gunfights. What do you have to say for yourself?
Damn, I'm just passing on a message, Sister Mary.
Well, forgive me for shooting the messenger.
I think stepping up is exactly why Wyatt wants to have this meeting. He wants to get us all together, see what's to be done.
Well, I'm going to be making sure that I speak to your brother before this meeting about what's to be done. Give him a talking to.
Well, you do that. Ain't no need for you to give me no talking to.
Excuse me?
Nothing.
No, I would like you to repeat what you just said. And she's kind of standing up, and suds are kind of running down, dirt running down her arm, just glaring.
You see that new church down there on Santa Fe Street? That new bank, I mean?
Oh, wow. That's quite the slip of the tongue. The new church, the new bank. Is money all that's important to you? What about this church? What about the importance of this church, young man? It may be small, it may be ugly, but it is important. Do you understand me?
I know it. I know it.
And no big shiny bank is going to be more important than this little church. Is money going to save you when the time comes?
I wasn't talking about the bank because I think it looks impressive. I was talking about the bank because I'm worried about it getting robbed by that same character who walked through the wall in the gambling house.
She throws the little brush that she's using into the scrub bucket. A little splash of dirty water. It makes the floor even worse. People walking through walls. This is what I am talking about. This town is lost without me. Completely lost without me. And your brother just thinks he can summon me out of nowhere. I have important things to do. I'm going to go talk to him right now, actually. He might want to wait until later, but he's going to get an earful.
So are we feeling vulnerable yet?
Good.
Wrath for petty slights, I think, came across very well there. What do we think about conditions? Well, you don't even have any, Travis, but Sister Mary, you're feeling condition cleared.
I feel like I'm going to clear an absence. I feel like I might not be feeling terribly faithful, but at least I'm filling that hole with, work, wrath,
absolutely,
annoyance.
I have to say the sort of like dynamic that's developed over a couple sessions between Sister Mary and Travis feels so much like my aunts and their nephews. Like it's like that vibe, right? Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm bringing any family trauma up for anybody.
It's just very like, it's always like that. It's like
motherly, but not your mother thing.
Yeah. It's what it is. It's like my aunts get exercised about something, and then like we're just like, okay.
Yeah. I'm from a very big Irish Catholic family, so I've seen this kind of dynamic a lot of times.
Fabulous. You can go ahead and clear that condition. What bonus do you want to take?
I think I would like to get a clue about the Daisy Man, since we were talking about the bank.
I was going to say, I think Travis will be far too intimidated to ask you a question about your past, so go for a clue.
Good.
You get to define the clue, so as long as it doesn't answer the question on its own, you can make it whatever you want it to be.
Okay, I'll think about that.
And then I think I'm going to give you a scene before Sister Mary shows up. So what are you doing right now?
Well, I think I'm waiting for her, because I was actually hoping that I could meet her before I get ready, but I'm just trying to put myself together and get the strength to get out of bed today. And I think it's I don't think it's going great. I think I'm coughing into a rag, and I keep concealing that. I've like not let Travis see that. And I think I'm trying to make myself look like as normal as I can, and as like, put together as I can before Sister Mary Erstwhile gets here. So I think I've put on a duster, and I've put on a cowboy hat, and I've tried to get the sweat off my face. And I've gone out and I've sat on the front porch.
I think you're approached by Annette Shields. Now, Annette Shields is a homesteader, and her and her brother, they own some land just outside of town. Her brother's the gravedigger. She just runs their land. But importantly, the dead rangers are camping near their land. That's Annette's like kind of main thing right now. She's a in the threat, it says she has a bright smile, a boisterous laugh, and she is tall and excellent. And indeed she is. She comes up and she says, Marshal Walker, I heard you were feeling a little bit under the weather.
Yeah, it's nothing that just a little bit of rest won't do me some good on, but I think I'm past the worst of it. What can I do for you, Annette?
Well, and she kind of just like invites herself to sit down next to you on the porch in the chair that's there. She says, well, I was wondering if anybody was going to get out to go talk to these fellas that are camping outside our land. It's getting a little, well, those boys, they're not too chatty, I have to admit, and I've gone out to talk to them. They seem a little distracted, like they don't quite know what they're even doing out there. I guess being dead will do that to you. But I tell you, it's just as my brother Eli, the gravedigger, says, there's a stirring going on right now. The dead are being stirred to wakefulness, and I, for one, think we should rejoice about this. Nevertheless, they're hanging out near my land, and I don't know what to tell people when they come by.
Well, I believe that a few of my associates have gone out and talked with them. You need me in particular, or the law in particular, to go out and talk? They getting on your property?
No, they're not unfriendly. They're just, well, I've had to introduce myself 3 different times now. I don't think they quite know what they're doing. And, well, I know this is not my first go around with the Wounded Knight. I know that the dead are easily confused, but I don't want that confusion to turn into accidental violence.
Annette, I hear what you're saying, and I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm looking to have a town meeting tonight, and we're going to discuss this issue along with a few others. You go and spread the word, and you want to be there, you be there. We'll hear anybody what they need to hear about what's been going on with these strange happenings.
I think that's an excellent idea, Marshal. An excellent idea indeed. And I tell you what, as she stands up, I've got some things to say about these ghosts and the Wounded Knight. I think we're approaching this situation entirely wrong. I think we should do our best to welcome these ghosts instead of treating them like some sort of undead, unholy menace. I mean, they were people once, right?
Suppose that's the nature of being a ghost. People once.
It's not that I disagree with the work that you and the Vigilance Committee are doing on this matter, but I just think that it's wrong for us to orient ourselves toward them in a sort of hostile fashion. I think we should try something more peaceable.
Well, I reckon that might work for some of them. But you know as well as I do from what happened 6 years ago that not all them ghosts can be dealt with just peaceful ways.
Yes, well. Hey, Marshal, what do you think about this woman who's come into town recently?
Which woman is that?
Isabella Edwards.
I don't reckon I know a ton about Isabella Edwards.
Well, I know something about Isabella Edwards, Marshal. And
what's that?
Well, how deep do you want to go here, Marshal?
Maybe it's best you just tell me the facts and then we might get around to what you think about it all. But let's just start with what you know. Well, the color of the hair, the look of her.
I know. What I know is that my parents, my long dead parents, they knew Isabella Reynolds back then, decades ago.
And I saw her. How could you know that?
Well, if it's the same woman I'm thinking of, it's her, Marshal. I don't have any reason to think it's not her based off everything I know. And Marshal, this would have been, 20, 30, 40 years ago. And the Isabella Reynolds who's rolled in town recently, she looks awfully good for a woman who's at least 60 or 70 years old.
It must be a daughter or something like that. There's a rational explanation for it.
Yeah, well, funny thing to be looking into rational explanations when we're in the middle of the season of the Wounded Knight.
She's not a ghost, is she? I mean, have you seen something ghostly about this Isabella Reynolds?
Well, that fella that's always with her, he looks like he's been touched by something, and it's not an angel, I'll tell you that.
Wait a sec. Is this a fella that's got kind of something going on with his neck?
Yeah. Looks like he was hung.
I saw them walking on the boardwalk some time ago. They look just normal people enough.
Right. Well, all I know is I'm going to be at your meeting tonight, Marshal, and I am going to propose something to the town. And I don't want to catch you by surprise, but it involves looking at this situation, this Wounded Knight situation, with an entirely fresh perspective.
Look, we'll make a moment for anybody who needs to have a say. And if you're so concerned about this Isabella and the poor fella with his messed up neck, you invite them too.
All right, maybe I will. All right, well, glad you're feeling better, Marshal. She gets up and she strides, because she's the kind of woman who strides places. She strides away.
Always a pleasure, Annette. You take care of yourself.
Let's go over to Slade. So Slade, you're in the kind of the little common area mess hall thing with Mel, and Bert, the photographer. He doesn't sit down. He just stands off to the side. And she says, now listen up, Mr. Slade. I was originally here doing a story on life at Fort Bliss. My paper back in San Antonio, they're very interested in, how shall we say, life on the frontier. You know, people scratching out a living in the desert, soldiers in Fort Bliss protecting our borders, California widows left behind by their husbands seeking their fortunes out west, that kind of thing. But I've heard about what happened at the mining camp, and I think you and I might be simpatico in our needs and motivations and desires, Mr. Slade. Because, Mr. Slade, here's the truth of the matter. I'm going up to that goddamn mining camp to get the goddamn truth, and I don't care if it's dangerous. I would rather face a whole be-fucked mountain of danger than write one more expose on life on the frontier.
Will you bring me?
Yes, I will. We'll load you up into the back of the cart. Bert, load Mr. Slade up into the back of the cart. We're going to the mountain. And she storms off. And Bert says, well, she's an incredible woman, isn't she?
Is she?
Oh, yes.
Why?
Well, she's a hard charger. She goes and she gets the story.
Oh,
You're not a man of many words, are you, Mr. Slade?
I've been told that before.
All right, well, let me help you up. We'll go get in the cart. And
Just mind where you touch me.
Oh, all right. And I don't think he knows what you mean by that, but he will follow your guidance as needed. All right, let's have our scene with Sister Mary and Wyatt.
I think actually on her way storming down Santa Fe Street towards where Wyatt lives. I imagine because you're still at home. I think to establish the clue for the Daisy Man, she's walking by the Santa Fe Bank and she's kind of glaring at it 'cause she's mad about it now. And the hitching post out front has kind of very deeply carved into it a big letter, I don't know, S. And she kind of is actually a little bit like, see, not so good. You can't even avoid graffiti in her mind. But she happens to glance over at one of the other places that was burgled, and the hitching post there also has a S carved deeply into it. And she makes note of that and continues on her way.
I have noted it as well. I want to have that scene with Sister Mary and Wyatt. I do want to check in with Travis. So, Travis, what are you going to be doing after you're done getting tongue lashed by Sister Mary?
I'm gonna go. I feel like I want to go stake out the bank. Travis just has this suspicion that it's a target for potential shenanigans. So I think he's just going to keep a watchful eye from across the street in a shaded porch or something, and see if he can spot anything unusual going on.
You can go ahead and do the information move with reason.
So like reason is a negative for me. Let me just double check that. Yep. And that is a 7.
I'll give you a clue, but there'll be a complication on the clue. We'll come back to that in a moment. Okay, so Sister Mary and Wyatt. Wyatt, you want to set up the scene?
Yeah, I think I'm still sitting on the front porch. I've put my feet up, trying to look casual, and I've got a little knife out and I'm carving away, making a little angelic looking figure out of a hunk of wood. And I'll drop my feet to the porch and start to stand up when you get there.
Marshall.
Sister Mary Erstwhile, thank you for meeting me. I guess Travis found you without too much trouble.
Carving some false idols, I see.
I'm not planning on worshiping this. Just angels been on my mind lately, so suppose my hands, rather than be idle, decided to carve one.
Well, that is for the best. You know what they say about idle hands.
Indeed, indeed. I have been told that a time or two. Right here on this porch, as a matter of fact. But that's neither here nor there. You see, I've been thinking a mite lately about mortality. What with the wounded knight being on us and all, and ghosts and one thing and another. And he starts to cough some more and then pulls out the handkerchief, and you can see the red in it. And the real reason that he's probably been thinking about mortality lately.
Do you need your last rites? Is that why you're looking like you were expecting me?
And he gives kind of a half smile and kind of looks up at you. It's like, it's not as dire as all that, but I did think I might need some religious counsel. The boy doesn't know. Haven't told him, haven't shown him. I don't think he suspects. But I think you and I know what happens in these little towns when somebody gets as sick as I'm getting. It's probably
Are you suggesting it's the plague?
It's not the plague. Come on now.
Okay. I don't have it in me to deal with the plague. I really don't.
I don't think it's anything catching. It's just one of those things. But I want to make sure my house is in order and not this place. I mean, me. And it seemed like you might be the one to talk to, seeing as, well, you're the most pious one around here.
Oh, she almost makes a derisive snort, not really at Wyatt, just at the fact that if she's the most pious right now, what is wrong with this town? Well, I suppose we should go inside and I can take your confession.
We might get to that. Maybe a little later, but for the time being, what am I going to do about that boy?
Well, you've certainly let him run amok.
I'm trying to curb him. But it seems as though, at least the way he's painting it, he's got nothing to do with it. And I know that's not entirely true. I suspect he's put himself out there, and now the things that he's putting out there have come back to haunt him, whether he's stopped putting it out there or not. What am
What
I
I see is a lack of discipline. A lack of perhaps good role models.
That might be the case. Where in this town might you find a good role model? I question myself, and the answer comes back to the most pious one in town once again.
Are you asking me to take Travis under my wing?
I'm asking you to keep an eye on him. I'm not sure what he's got himself all into, but I think he knows the difference between right and wrong, and he sincerely desires to do it. He just, well, he's my brother, and all that comes with that.
That's the thing about the ugliness of a tainted soul. It can be very easy to overlook when there's things like familial love. But that ugliness, I suppose it can be stamped out if you try hard enough, if you look hard enough, if you beg hard enough. Spend my life doing so.
Thought that's what the good book was all about. Folks seeking redemption and whatnot. That leastways, that's what I used to hear on this porch an awful lot.
Sometimes I think the beauty in the good book might be impossible for the world to reach. I've only seen it once. Well, that's neither here nor there. I suppose I could try and help direct your brother into, well, the correct roads along the journey of his life.
I hope so.
And you, what roads have you taken?
Confession time's later now. Not right this minute.
I think she picks up the little angel carving, the little angel whittling, and looks at it and says, well, from the looks of things, you are definitely looking for some sort of help outside of you. Puts it back down.
Yeah. That might be a good place.
Good scene. Yeah, good scene.
Yeah.
Was that a vulnerable move scene?
I think so.
Yeah. What conditions were being cleared, if anything?
Sister Mary, did that help clear any of yours?
I'm thinking if it did, it would probably be the Fifth Ranger. That was a weird situation where one of the ghostly things happening was a person that had confessed their love to Sister Mary. And I think that's kind of been hanging over her. But now she's got her focus on other kinds of religious confessions and salvation upon specific people, mostly Travis right now. Sorry, Travis.
Wyatt, do you want to clear Can't Trust the Sun? Do you think you've done that?
I don't know that I have. I'll hang on to it for now.
You still get the bonus, though. Do you want to create a clue?
Yeah.
Or
I'll invite a question about
the past.
About my past.
Think on your question, Sister Mary. We'll cut over to let me give Travis, let me give you your resolve your move that you were doing, and then I'll pick up with Slade, and then we'll take a break. Travis, you are approached by Clarence O'Toole, your friend from the Golden Spur, the gambler, and he says, "Ah, yes, the young Travis Walker, nay, the legendary Sidewinder Kid. How are you doing this fine afternoon?"
Mr. O'Toole. It's a curious coincidence I should run into you right here.
Oh?
I'm doing well, sir.
Well, very exciting. Opening of a new bank. I wish that I was a little luckier at the tables lately so I would have some money to actually deposit. Unfortunately, Lady Luck has been a very, very disagreeable companion as of late for me. Nevertheless,
Since I last saw you,
well,
your luck has changed that much?
well, Mr. Walker, when you're in my line of business, you learn to ride the peaks and valleys, so to speak. I'm currently in a bit of a valley, but I suspect there's a peak just over the horizon waiting for me to climb it. Hey, we were talking about something the other day, and I think this might be of some interest to you, considering your association with the Vigilance Committee. A metaphysical question. Maybe you can help us solve it. Some people say that if you are currently trapped in the land of the dead, that you can actually buy your way into the land of the living if you have enough money to do so. The theory, of course, is this is what the pharaohs of ancient Egypt were trying to do when they buried themselves with their treasures, was to have sort of cosmic fair for their travel between the lands of the living and the dead. And of course, there's the story of Charon and the river Styx and paying the boatman. I think it's an interesting idea, this notion of being able to pay money to travel between worlds. Maybe that's what all of this is about for me. Maybe I'm trying to earn enough money at the tables to someday buy my way back from beyond the Black Gate of Death.
You would be trying to tell me that a ghost is responsible for all these incidents? Seems a stretch to me. I think there's a simpler explanation looking me right in the face.
Mr. Walker, it was just a scholarly inquiry by me and some like-minded thinkers. But I'm actually glad I've caught you. I was wondering if you would like to join me and some of my friends for a bit of cards tonight.
What are the stakes on this here game?
Well, those pistols that you carry are mighty fine, and they would make a terrific I don't know anything about gambling. They would make a terrific opening gambit at the tables, I think. Certainly would cover your costs for the night.
You said pistols. Well, let's just say they ain't exactly something I can afford to lose.
You're taking a condition marked by Clarence O'Toole. He's particularly interested in your guns. Unless you want to mark Janus Mask and get him off your case.
No, I think Travis is building up to a confrontation with this guy.
Sounds good.
It feels like.
Slade, you're on your way to the mountain from Fort Bliss. That miner, Fernando da Silva, is hitching a ride with the two of you, with the three of you. So he's in the back of the wagon as well with you. And yeah, so what do you do? Well, you got some time to kill here.
Yeah, Slade will be watching Fernando, and eventually he'll just ask what he knows of the ghosts.
Make the information move with Presence.
Six.
6. He says, well, I have to tell you, Mr. Slade, I've seen a lot of things. You can't work in the tin mine for any period of time and not see some strange things. But when I saw those 3 rangers alive, but not alive, and then he reaches and grabs your hands to like emphasize a point. And as soon as he makes contact with your hands, his face collapses. The skin is drawn across his bones, his eyes bulge out, and he just like twists and shrivels, and his eyes actually physically like dissolve into goo in the sockets and just dribble down, and he just like collapses. And Mel says, what the fuck is going on back there?
I think I'd like to put on a mask.
Very good. You may do so. Let's take a 5-minute break. So Fernando de Silva doesn't grab your hands after all, Slade. And instead, he tells you what he knows. Actually, I better take a look at the current clues so I don't duplicate. Okay. He says, you had asked him like what he remembers about the Ghost Riders, right?
Yes.
Yeah. He says, well, the fact of the matter, Mr. Slade, is that I knew one of those men when they were alive. Their captain, Carl Vanderhorn, he and I were good friends of a sort. Let's just say we were both very, very fond of the poppy.
It is a beautiful flower.
No, that's not what I mean. I mean opium. We both smoked opium together from time to time. Me, it was for my nerves. Like I said, you work in the tin mines and you see some things, and it causes you to, you do whatever you can to deaden your senses after a certain period. I'm not sure what it was with Vanderhorn, but well, his work took him all over, and he was able to get his hands on some opium from time to time, and we smoked it together. And well, I think he was addicted pretty bad. I don't know if there's any connection to whatever ended up happening to him ultimately, but I got the faintest hint of recognition from him when he was talking to us, in his current form. But that's your clue. Carl Vanderhorn has an opium addiction. He says, and here's the complication, sort of. He says, hey, did I overhear correctly that you intend to go into the mine?
Yes.
Mr. Slade, I know you and I don't know each other very well, but I feel as if I have seen you before. I have seen you, or someone like you, down in that mine.
Well, I am known to travel about, but I have no recollection of the mine.
Yes, well. Well, I won't say anything else about it. I hope you
Did
find
I
whatever you're
scare
looking
you?
for.
This this person that looked like me, did I frighten you?
Yes. Yes, you did. It did, Mr. Slade.
Unfortunate.
I never saw them. Well, not as such. It was more an awareness and a voice. I'm going to give you a condition, the voice in the line. Let's pick up with Sister Mary. What's your question for Wyatt?
Well, Marshall, if you are asking me to look after the eternal soul of your brother, I suppose I should probably know a little bit about why it came to be that you and him are alone in the world. How is it that you are responsible for him and solely you?
I reckon that's fair. Mother died when Travis was born. And well, Pa just didn't like that too much. Didn't care too much about child rearing himself. Cared more about making a buck and getting a bottle. And so he did. I don't know where he went. We got in a row one of these days about what he's doing with the money because we need to eat. And I'm sick of having to make money any way that I can. And he's not paying his fair share for us two little ones. And well, I'll tell you what, a grown man against a kid just ain't much of a fair fight. And Travis didn't think so neither. So we decided we'd get on our own way. And so we did. I don't think Pa never came looking for us once.
Well, I certainly know what it's like to have a parent who cares more about their own little world than their kids.
Well, then I reckon maybe you are the right person to be looking after Travis if it comes to it.
Well, I suppose that's true. But hopefully that won't be for a real long while.
Here's to hoping. And he takes the little angel from you and sticks it up on kind of the beam of the house. Who knows? Maybe it'll attract some good attention.
Good. Travis, once you're done with your chat with Mr. O'Toole, what do you do?
I think he'll sidle over to the bank under the guise of, kind of inspecting it in an official capacity for safety.
Let's talk about the bank. Yeah, that's good.
Ask some questions of the people there about the security arrangements and how thick the walls are and all that kind of stuff.
Well, it's really funny you should mention that because that relates to our It relates to the paint scene question, but I'll tell you that the bank is a small adobe building with barred windows. There are hardwood floors, carpet rugs, and a solid wood front desk. It smells of very fresh timber and very fresh paint. And paint the scene, everyone. What state of the art, circa 1880, security measures does this bank boast?
There is an alarm system. You can see it. There's some wires and whatnot that are set around the doors so that at night when the door is locked, if it gets forced open, it will somehow trigger this wired system to ring a bell that has sort of an elasticated motor in it. And well, they tested it once. It was quite loud. At least the few places around the area might be able to hear the ringing.
My suggestion is not nearly quite as advanced. Each teller station has a shotgun fitted under the desk.
Yeah, I was thinking there's even like a little security booth at one end of the whatever you call the room where the teller's in. And it kind of it's just like a little armored cubicle with just a gun port in it, so that, you know, whoever's in there can lay down suppressing fire across the entire room.
Behind the teller booth, which is also barred, there is like an oversized bank vault door that is prominent and obvious from the front door that you can see.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's like to show, look how secure we are. Yeah, that's good.
Inspire confidence.
Mm-hmm. You are met by Mr. James Martin, manager of the First Bank of El Paso, the newly opened First Bank of El Paso. This man is well into his 70s. He's almost bald, but he does have a few long wisps of hair by his ears. And he wears an old-fashioned pinstripe suit with a black cravat. And he sees you come in and he says, "Well, hello, young man. Did you want to be one of our first depositors?"
Well, I don't reckon I got much to deposit, but I'm here on behalf of the marshal. Just on account of there's been a number of incidents recently of gambling houses being robbed, and I'm concerned for the safety and security of your establishment here.
Says, no need, no need. You go back and tell Marshal Walker that everything is going to be just fine here at the First Bank of El Paso. We have the finest security money can buy. I won't hear of this specter or phantom business. It's all just lurid gossip. Our depositors can have full confidence that when we are open, fully open in earnest and running up, we will be the safest bank this side of the Rio Grande.
Well, I am impressed by the setup you got here. There's some mighty interesting contraptions you have going on, but well, I would hate to see overconfidence be your downfall and all.
Well, I thank you very kindly for your looking in on us. You tell the marshal that. I'm very, very grateful for that. But we'll be all right. We don't, at the First Bank of El Paso, we don't truck with this wounded knight supernatural nonsense. Just locals scaring themselves, getting themselves worked up.
Well, I hope for your sake that's true.
Indeed.
Maybe I'll just sit myself across the street this evening, see if there's anything to be seen.
All right, fine. He takes a bowl that has a bunch of like little penny candies in it. He says, "Here, have a penny candy for your trouble."
I think
I'm
Travis
very
just,
fond of these coconut ones right here.
Travis stands just stock still, doesn't reach for it, doesn't barely even acknowledges it. Says that's mighty hospitable, but I ain't a kid to hand out candy to.
He's already got one unwrapped and in his own mouth. He's like, ah, delicious, delicious. I could suck on them all afternoon.
Now, if you have a pot of coffee on the go, maybe I'd partake of some of that.
It's like, oh, well, I'm afraid we don't have anything like that here, but, well, across the street, I'm sure they can help you.
Sure they can. Y'all have a good day now.
Thank you kindly for checking in on us, young man. Meanwhile, Slade, you're at the mine. You can certainly go down if you want, even though you're not getting around so great, but there are rails and handholds. You can probably manage it. What do you do?
Is it busy? Like, is it active?
Yeah, there are men and women coming in and out, periodically.
Yeah, I think he'll just start making his way toward the entrance and keep his head down.
You get into the mine. There's a little kind of walkway that's been built. It kind of gives you access to it. It's the kind of thing where you have to like occasionally dive into a little niche so that people can walk past you, because the traffic is two-way. But you can grab a lantern if you wish, or go without a lantern, I suppose.
Don't think I need it.
Yeah. And make your way down. It is very dark. You eventually reach a part of the mine that opens up, and you can kind of go off trail, as it were. What are you doing right now?
I think when he gets to a part that seems a little quieter, he's going to just call out for oh gosh, I forget his name. Pike.
Oh,
Jimmy Pike.
I think when you call out Jimmy's name, some kind of cave varmint pokes its head out from under a rock briefly, but then retreats behind it. There's a trio of miners sharing a drink, huddled around their little lantern. They call back to the voice. They don't know where it's coming from. They just say, "No Jimmy Pike down here."
Slade will approach just, dramatically out of the darkness and say he may be using an assumed name.
Make the information move with composure.
8.
You hear a voice in the dark. I might know something about Jimmy Pike.
You aren't certain?
Come closer, horseman, and we shall discuss the matter.
He'll pause for a moment at the recognition before just striding forward.
Make the night move. What are you afraid is going to happen if you lose your nerve?
Well, I'm already shot. Being buried down here would be not good.
It is worse than that. You will be buried down here forever. Trapped in undying mortal body.
That is worse. What am I
Roll
rolling with?
sensitivity, but disadvantage. Because of the voice in the mind.
Oh, that's 7.
You might as well bump it up because I'm going to give you another condition.
All right. I will do that.
I owe you 2 clues. Or no, I owe you 1 clue, and then you've got 10 on this, so you're fine. The clue that you get you see that symbol. The symbol that was in the rocks over at the old hunting lodge. You see it glowing in your gloaming gaze on the walls of the cave as you get deeper. It's repeated all over. That's your clue. And the voice says, "What cruel twist of cosmic fate has brought you into this land, horseman?"
I hope to learn that myself. How do you know me?
I have always known you. There are some that are older than you.
Few.
I was there the day you were born.
And what do the humans call you?
It goes quiet at this point. And he says, "I have many names. All of them entirely inadequate to the task of capturing what I am. My recommendation to you, horsemen, is that you turn back. Jimmy Pike, die has been cast for that fellow. There's nothing you or anyone else can do about it."
I am not of the mind to accept that.
Well, be mindful, horseman. Your current vessel is inadequate to the task of fulfilling your ambitions, as evidenced by your current state. Do not test me.
What brings you to this place?
You go into someone's home, a guest, and ask them what they're doing there?
I, unfortunately, am welcome in most places.
And yet you have no answers here. I suspect recent days have been an education in your limitations.
That is correct.
Go back, horseman.
I think he'll take a few steps back and say, I suspect we will meet again.
Perhaps. But all of this will be gone when we do.
Take some steps back out, but he's going to definitely be noting that symbol.
Let's do one quick pass around the table if there's anything else anybody wants to do before we wrap up the day phase. Well, Slade, I think we're good, but Sister Mary, anything else you want to do?
I don't think so, no.
Travis, anything else?
No.
Wyatt?
No, I think I would just be putting the word out.
About the meeting?
Yeah.
Or maybe I guess Travis will just report back to Wyatt.
Sounds good. Very good. Are we all caught up on clues? Is everything written down? Did you end up getting you got a clue for the Daisy Man, which was a rumor that the dead can buy their way back to the land of the living. And yeah, so let's go ahead and cut over to the Dusk Phase. All right, so I think that we have to deal with your move, assemblage regarding the state of affairs of the township of El Paso, because you can call an assemblage during the Dusk Phase. If you do, say where it will be held, and then write down the name of each active threat on those lines below the move there. Where is this meeting being held?
I think I'm gonna have it called in the dance hall.
Ah, very good. That's convenient. so you might be able to investigate that that threat. Diamond Dave and Lola may not be thrilled about that because they don't want to bring any attention to their current troubles, but very good. During the Dusk Phase, after the assemblage has been called, each other hunter must state if they will be in attendance. Are you going to be at the assemblage?
You can't have an assemblage of the town without Sister Mary Erstwhile.
Okay.
I think Slade would be curious enough to attend.
Travis? No one wants to shoot you tonight, Travis, so that's good.
Oh, I'm 100% going to be there, yeah, of course, to back up my brother.
Very good. Any hunter in attendance can only take actions related to the assemblage during the upcoming night phase. Additionally, each hunter in attendance, including the marshal, can name a side character who will also be in attendance. That hunter gets advantage on any rolls associated with actions related to that side character. And I can have any side characters I want attend as well. But if there's a specific side character you want to be there that you want to have an advantage in interacting with, name them.
I would like Clarence O'Toole to be there.
Very good.
I want Lloyd Miller to be there.
Lloyd, Clarence are two suspects for Daisy Man. Human suspects. Slade, anybody want there?
Perhaps Mel Brown might
Oh,
be
sure.
useful.
Yeah.
I'll invite Charles Bellevue. I know he's not a person who lives in El Paso. He's the foreman of the mining camp, but I think he might have some ideas.
Sure. Well, it's the current affairs are relevant to him, so
Exactly.
good. Okay. And all right. So that'll take place during the night phase. So we'll come back to that in a bit. Let's go over to painting the scene about El Paso. I've got to pull up the document real quick. I don't have it handy, of course. So we've done the agriculture, the silent infants, and the children of El Paso. Today we're going to do... I can find it on the thing. Here we go. Today we're going to do... Well, let's talk about the elderly. The aged of El Paso. Elderly folks around El Paso seem more vital, more lucid, and kind of otherworldly during the Wounded Night. What activity do the elderly do during evenings of the season of the Wounded Night that frightens children and adults alike?
I think old man Winston splits logs all night long.
There's a trio of older women who sing. They stand on the balcony, the kind of parapet or whatever, these old buildings, and they sing, but it's not in a language anybody understands.
There's a woman who every night during this time takes a hooded lantern and with a veil over her face walks out to the graveyard and then comes back at the and you can set your clock by it. Basically, it's regular every evening.
The elderly widows and widowers can all be heard in their bedrooms at night talking as if to their deceased partner.
All right. Weird kids, weird quiet babies, weird old people.
Are we the most normal people in this town?
I don't know. Maybe.
Oof.
All right. So we've already kind of established what everyone's doing. You're going to be at the assemblage, so we don't have to dwell on that. However, does anybody want to answer a question right now? Does that feel? I mean,
I feel like we've got a lot of clues.
We've got a lot of clues for a lot of things here.
we can take a little break if you want to think about some theories first. I don't mind doing
I was
that.
going to throw something out about the Daisy Man, actually.
Okay. I know
I
you've
may.
had kind of a lot of feelings about that one.
Yeah, my theory here is that, so the question we're trying to answer is whether the Daisy Man is a ghost. And my theory is yes. And Clarence O'Toole is the ghost.
Oh, okay.
He's actually, he's actually like some kind of wandering spirit and not even though he has managed to have some kind of corporeal form, he's not a regular person.
So what are the clues that support this?
His heavy-handed dropping of the hint about the rumor that the dead can buy their way back to the land of the living, and that, his attempting to win all this money or, acquire this wealth is him exactly trying to do that.
Maybe it's an ongoing loan that he has to continue paying.
Yeah, or he just the way he's doing it is, he keeps acquiring almost enough and then losing it again. It's almost like it's like a Sisyphean thing where he can never get enough money because the fates conspire such that he will lose it at the point where he's almost succeeding.
It's a fabulous theory. It's only one clue.
Yeah, I know. I'm looking at the others, trying to link
Yeah, I mean,
them in somehow.
I would have to insert facts, which I know is, there's some
It's allowed.
permission to do
Yeah.
that. But it could be that Lloyd Miller got that rusted watch from him because he won it in a gambling match.
Oh,
and that's why
pretty good.
Lloyd didn't care about it at all because he was like, whatever.
Oh, that's a good detail, actually. Yeah, I like that. That puts it at a flat roll. It's not too bad. So basically Lloyd won that from Clarence. That's pretty good context to add.
Maybe Clarence is always seen with a daisy in his lapel and nobody's really noticed
Right,
that.
yeah, he's kind of a little bit of gambler's flair, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that can
Kind of
probably
his
stand in
signature
for
bit.
the daisy in the jail cell as well. I'm sure Clarence has been picked up before. What do you think, Marshall?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, drunken disorderly.
Oh yeah. Well, that's not too bad though. That's a +1 then on your initial question. Do you want to roll that? I think it's a great theory.
Sure.
Yeah, go for it, Rob.
Go for it. +1.
Ah, 4.
A 4. So it's wrong. And I will react during the night phase. I might make your assemblage a bit of a fucking mess. If you don't want to deal with that, everyone has to mark Janus mask.
We got the mask of the cat too.
You know, the mask of the
right?
cat. That's available for one person.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll mark one, not that one. I'll mark one of my pasts.
I might. Can I mark the mask of the cat? What it says here, we all have to do it.
Well, the mystery, the threat ones, one person gets to mark it and get credit for marking it, but usually everyone has to do something whenever it gets marked. So.
I'm gonna do the mask of the cat if everyone's happy. Cool with that.
With Mask of the Cat, everyone must narrate a time when they secretly entered a building at night for a purpose they hoped would never be revealed. So be thinking on that. I've got
Rob,
2 masks.
Do you mind if I take that? I've already marked 2 today.
Yeah, Slade's already marked 2 today.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Sure,
yeah.
All right, so Slade can take that one. Travis, do you want to mark one of your regular ones then?
Yeah. Let me just. I'm tempted to do the moss-covered gate, but we maybe need to establish. I'll do a mask of the past.
All right, and Sister Mary, you marking one as well?
Yeah, I'll mark a mask of the past.
Sounds good. Okay, so you're correct. It's I mean, there's really no this is a threshold question, so being correct is sufficient. Really, 7 or higher is good enough. There's no real complication you can do on a threshold question. Except I might just make Clarence kind of a pain in the ass in general. So we'll see. However, you are correct, and so the next question is unlocked, and that question is for the Daisy Man. If the Daisy Man is a ghost, why are they committing these crimes? Resolve the threat by luring the Daisy Man to you and then performing a quieting ritual.
Do you think a ghost wedding will work again?
Got to find someone real rich.
And
Or the bank. Use the bank.
Rob, you're super quiet on audio. I don't know what's going on, but
Sorry.
You might need to check your inputs or something.
We've got lots of clues. We could probably do Sawtooth Ridge as well.
You do, yeah. that also has a threshold question of why do the Ghost Riders want Jimmy Pike dead? Do you want to propose a theory there, Sister Mary?
Yeah, I had a theory from last time we were playing that this group of rangers, and there was 5 of them originally. One of them, of course, was Jimmy Pike. Then we have Captain Carl, Vanderhorn, Thomas Lubbock, and Rip Ford, and then the 5th one that had confessed to Sister Mary. I think they had done something terrible where they killed the 5th member. One of the other guys killed the 5th member, and Jimmy Pike did not like any of that. So something happened, all these guys died, and Jimmy Pike is going to go and basically discredit all of them. And that's sort of why their ghosts are after Jimmy Pike, because he knows the truth about them, and he's going to, at least the ghosts think, ruin their ranger reputation.
Their reputation.
Taking a bit of a spin on that, what if they killed the 4th ranger to summon whatever was in the mine, and Jimmy was trying to stop them, and now he's trying to stop to rescind this invitation?
Because he's the only one that knows about it. I like that.
Oh, so they killed the 5th ranger as a sacrifice to whatever's in the mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jimmy didn't want to go through with it. It doesn't quite account for like the massacre. I mean, maybe it doesn't have to, but that's a pretty good like initial theory. You might have to account for the massacre later.
Maybe Jimmy, when he was trying to stop it, he set the thing accidentally loose.
Oh, interesting. Oh.
Or the thing just didn't take too kindly to being summoned by them.
Yeah.
Then it explains the 5th ranger, that there was always 5.
That accounts for the symbols. That accounts for the 2 clues that have the symbols. It accounts for the 5th ranger.
I think it would account for Jimmy Pike being humiliated at ranger training, because he never really fit in anyway. He didn't really go along with them, so they made fun of him. They ridiculed him. They othered him.
Well, you might want to save it too,
Yeah, that's
because
true.
even without that, you've got 3, and then I think probably the argument on the day of their death about the 5th horse and what to do with it almost certainly implicates the original theory, right? So that puts you at 4 clues on the complexity 4. If you want to, from there, if you think you need another one, maybe like start looking at these others. But I think you've got 4 pretty well accounted for if we're going with this theory.
Yeah. What do you guys feel about this?
I think it's solid.
Yeah.
Do we trust me to roll it?
After the roll I just made, I don't trust me to roll it, that's for sure.
All right, I'll get my best dice out. Okay, that's a 7.
Okay, very good.
Close enough.
It is correct. What an intriguing theory. So yeah. Okay, so the next question is unlocked. It's always the same question, but how you approach it is what is informed by the first question. And so the next question is, where is Jimmy hiding? And it is a complexity 4. Now that you know where Jimmy, now that you know what you believe you think the story is, this question, when answered, gives you 2 opportunities, either of which can be pursued. Either you can resolve the threat by helping the Ghost Riders take their revenge, or resolve the threat by laying a trap for the Ghost Riders and then destroying them. But both are on the table now. I'll update that when we take break. Okay, you've got 2 questions answered. That's about as far as you're going to get right now, I think. So let's go ahead and continue on with the Dusk Phase. Well, if anybody wants to do the Janus masks, they can go ahead and do it now. Otherwise, you can wait till the dawn.
think I can go. My two are pretty similar, and I think to tell in one go, kind of like in a TV show, would be a montage with Death standing over, looking as a large battle between primitive ape creatures just tear each other to shreds, with War standing next to Death, and War just doesn't. He's not in it for the closure. He doesn't care what happens after the battle's done. And Death has always resented War a little bit for that, for all this needless bloodshed and pain. And so it's with a bit of a comforting hand that Death goes to the victims to release them. And the same with Pestilence. Death is always there to clean up the mess left by their siblings, and he stands in it's a pyramid, but not a triangular one of the flat-topped ziggurat type. And there is a woman there dying, starvation and illness, and just can't seem to cross that threshold. And Death steps out of the shadows and takes her hand and helps her pass. And Pestilence sneers in the background.
Good. Thank you. Any other Janice masks?
I can do my Mask of the Cat. Sorry, one second. Haven't gotten rid of my cough. So that is each hunter narrates a time when they secretly entered a building at night for a purpose they hoped would never be revealed. We are back in London on a gray, dark, kind of rainy, foggy night, and we see Sister Mary Erstwhile, Harriet, at this point in time, dressed all in black, not very subtle, like a very kind of cat burglar-esque outfit. But she is sneaking through the shadows a little bit around this monstrous mansion and checking windows as she goes. Finally, she finds one that's unlatched, and she pushes it up and kind of slides in as best she can, creeping through this beautifully decorated home. And she is sort of quietly sneaking her way up to hopefully what she thinks is a bedroom of somebody who lives there. And she opens the door, and there's this beautiful canopy bed with the most fine linens you could ever imagine. And asleep in this bed is an older woman, a black lady, who is asleep with a large blue sapphire around her neck. And Harriet quietly tiptoes up to this woman sleeping, trying to very subtly take the sapphire off of her neck. She is hoping that she can take this back as a gift to her angel, the most beautiful person that's ever existed, the whole reason that she has for living. And of course, you don't want to get caught. That would be hugely detrimental to any sort of positive experience. And as she goes to unclasp the necklace, this woman's eyes flutter open.
Fantastic. Thank you.
I'll also do my Mask
go
of
ahead.
the Cat. So I think we're looking back on a time not long after Wyatt and Travis came to El Paso, and Travis, a little younger, we see him shimmying up the kind of pillar supporting the balcony on one of El Paso's bordellos, and lifting himself over the balcony and into a into the inside where there's kind of the reception room, and it has a balcony with various doors off running around the level above, and that's where he is. And there's nobody up there, but he's just kind of eavesdropping and spying on what this place is and who comes and goes. And he's a teenage boy. This is fascinating to him. And this isn't the only time he does this. But there's one particular time when part of the reason he's going is that a man he believes to be a kind of famous gunslinger has gone inside. And Travis is passing by, or lingering outside the back of the place, waiting for an opportunity to climb up when nobody's looking. When Wyatt comes by and calls out, "Travis, come on, I need your help with something." And Travis is like, "Damn it." And off he goes to help Wyatt. And the next morning, the news is all over town that this gunslinger shot someone in the place that night. And if it wasn't for, and what Travis kind of has this feeling that if it wasn't for Wyatt's intervention, it could have been him that ended up getting shot.
Fantastic, thank you. Any other Janus masks?
I can do my Mask of the Cat. I think we see Slade standing standing in a darkened room. You hear the sound of coughing, and Slade is just looking down impassively. And as the camera pans out, we realize we're in Wyatt's room, as Wyatt is in the depths of the illness he's just battled. And Slade will just slowly, after a time, just climb back out the window.
Very good, very good. Wyatt, did you have one?
Yeah, I think I'm just going to do both of them in a single scene, because it's a flashback to your biggest score, and also the scene of the cat sneaking into a place at night when you hope you never would be discovered. I think that we see a much younger Wyatt in kind of the back alley side streets of a much bigger city than El Paso, somewhere else. And he comes along the edge of this building at dusk, just when regular businesses would be closing, and the window is just cracked open just a little bit, just like the inside guy had said that it would be. And so Wyatt pushes it open and climbs in to the manager's window, navigates through the building to the vault, and has the biggest score of his life when he manages to rob the First Bank of Cincinnati.
Very good, very good. You're on Clarence O'Toole's case about robbing banks, or potentially robbing banks.
Reformed.
Indeed. Good. Are there any other Janus masks? Are we good to go for now? All right. Let's talk about the unseen then. All right. Oh, we have them all here on the tab. So we've done the rattlesnake, the boarding house, the stagecoach. I like the animal ones. I like that this game has like animals and natural things that take place. Let's do a dog's walk. This is 2, 3, it's like 4 down. A yellow dog with short hair and pointy ears lives under a barn on the edge of Dallas, a town of less than 5,000. A partially collapsed root cellar is now this dog's humble abode. It is dry and cool in the day, and an old horse blanket keeps it warm at night. Prompt 1 will be David. Prompt 2 will be Rob. Prompt 3 will be Amanda. And prompt 4 will be Ben. Let's take 5, and we'll continue the night phase. Before we begin the unseen, I want to keep reading the assemblage. The assemblage will take place during the night phase that follows when it was called. I cannot introduce any elements that would prevent the assemblage from taking place, nor can I deny any hunter or prevent any hunter who agreed to attend from attending. Immediately after the first unseen prompt is resolved, the marshal must give an opening speech related to the state of affairs in the township of El Paso, with the reminder that Diamond Dave and Lola would love for you to speak obliquely about anything that might be going on there. So
Yep. We got that. I also took an advanced deputize, so at some point I'm pinning a badge on somebody.
Oh, okay. Great. All right, but let's do the unseen. The dog's walk. David. A reliable dinner can be found in the back alley. The woman who cooks for tenants in the Overton boarding house for travelers is careless when she throws things in the refuse bin. What choice bits does the dog find in the alley this evening?
Ooh, tonight, I think she is she's from Louisiana and she's making something Cajun. And so the whole spice pack that she had, like, she doesn't just dump the spices into the thing. She puts it into something that she can fish out at the end. And normally you'd kind of let that out and dry it again and reuse it because there's still good flavor in it. But she's tossed it, and the dog is like just having at it. He can taste all of the like rosemary and some of the beans that it was stewing in got caught in there too. So the dog's trying to nose through and get that. I think it's getting him to kind of sneeze and cough sometimes with all this pepper that's in this spice pack, but it's worth it for the beans that are in there.
Much of the town of El Paso is assembled. Wyatt Walker. Speech.
Yeah, Wyatt gets up there, kind of coughs for a sec to
and I want to point out this
is
in the dance hall portion of the cantina. Yeah.
Right. Yep. Tries to get the coughing all out so that way he can kind of give a speech before without any interruptions. And also kind of coughing sometimes clears the noise a little bit, especially when you're the marshal and you're standing on the stage where dancers might otherwise be. Well, folks, I appreciate you all coming out and meeting tonight. I know there are better things to be doing, things we'd all prefer to be doing, but it's the time of the Wounded Knight once again in El Paso. And I want to assure everyone, the Vigilance Committee, is doing all it can do to address these otherworldly happenings as quickly as we can discover them. Now, we need all of you to be vigilant as well, sharing information with us as soon as it comes to you. That is the only way we can address these situations in as timely a manner as possible. At the moment, we do have a few that we are concerned about, a few that we are addressing. There is a matter on Santa Fe Street, a rumor that has been going about, perhaps prompted by an inventive child who got the rest of them singing a catchy tune. Perhaps there's some truth to it, though, and we would be remiss if we didn't try and discover Whether it's just a child's fancies or some honest-to-goodness criminal activity. There's a business on Sawtooth Ridge. Mr. Slade there has seen the worst of it so far. We hope that that is the worst of it, but we can only make sure it's the worst of it with all your help. The place we stand in now. There is some concern, some rumors that have been going on. Rumors that I'm assured are nothing more than rumors. Nevertheless, if you hear anything or see anything,
Lola gives a
please just let us know.
Very
Now,
good. You get to roll dice now. So roll with presence. You're muted, David.
we've got a 10 on
10.
the dice.
Oh, very good.
Is there an extra bonus for a 12 on this? I don't recall.
I think there is. The
Yeah,
mastermind will
the
appear.
mastermind shows up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Or
Yeah, I'm gonna-
well, so let's read it. It says on a hit, the keeper will reveal one clue for each active threat over the course of the night phase. On a 12 plus, the mastermind will appear at the assemblage, or you get a mastermind clue in addition to the other clues. My choice. Do you want to bump it?
Yeah, I'm going to bump it with another Mask of the Past. I'm going to go ahead and deputize real quick here and just
Okay.
get that out of the way.
Let's read deputize. When you pin a badge on a side character and give a short speech explaining why they are the perfect for the job, roll with presence. At the assemblage, you can deputize a single side character in a formal ceremony, getting an automatic 10 plus. So who are you deputizing?
So I'm actually going to bring Travis up here, deputize him, and I'm going to bring Lloyd Miller up here and deputize him.
Okay, very good, very good. So they come up. Travis, were you expecting this, Travis, or is this a surprise?
I was hoping for it,
Okay.
but not necessarily expecting it because Travis feels like this is long overdue.
Lloyd goes up and he has an air rifle with him. So.
You all know my brother, Travis Walker. He's been helping me for some time now, and I gather that some folks have been giving him some trouble, and so it seems prudent to make it official. Travis Walker is going to be a deputy of me, the Marshal. Take the badge, put it on him. I trust him. I trust him to try and keep the peace. And I trust all of you not to push him, as some seem to be prone to do lately. And it seems to be because of this middling that has been happening, this confusion as to his station. Let it be known to all of you that he is a deputy and he operates with the authority of the law. And let's not have any more violence about it. Mr. Lloyd Miller, I know you're not from around here. Come up here. Come up here.
He's got his air rifle. He sets it down.
That's fine. That's fine, Lloyd. We have a bit of an unusual nature in these parts. Perhaps you're starting to get the view of it. But I know that there's something an outsider can offer that none of us have. A fresh perspective on things, a rational explanation that all of us might be too quick to jump to the conclusion of an otherworldly activity. We need you, I need you, to advise on these situations and to keep us from just jumping to conclusions when there might be something perfectly rational to explain the entire business. And I hope that I can count on you just for this limited purpose, if not for all of these, but at least for this Santa Fe Street business. I know you've been spending a lot of time standing out there, and I want to deputize you at least for that mission, to be my eyes and ears on Santa Fe Street.
He says, well, thank you, Marshal. That's awfully generous of you, as you go and pin the badge on him. Dudley Wainwright raises his hand and says, Marshal, does this mean am I still a deputy?
Yes, deputy, you're still a deputy.
Oh, good. All right. He sits back down. And that is the assemblage. People will be talking and voicing concerns for a time. The three of you, the rest of you, can be doing whatever you want to be doing. I will say that Slade, a man who you recognize, walks up next to you. He's wearing a train conductor uniform. And he says, "Oh, that was a mighty fine speech, wouldn't you say?"
Just turn and look at the man and just stare him and say, ethically questionable, but inspiring.
Yes. So, did you think you'd ever be seeing me again?
Today has just been full of surprises.
Yes. Yes, they have. Well, there are some big changes coming to El Paso, Mr. Slade. Some very big changes. Here you will notice the terrible, terrible injuries around his neck. I hope
One can hope.
when the time comes, the Vigilance Committee will not stand in our way.
I would not deign to speak for my compatriots, but you and I will see each other again.
Sister Mary, Travis, what are you two of you doing? Travis, we know what you're doing. What are you doing, Sister Mary?
I'm going to take this opportunity to talk to Lola Navas. Lola Navas?
Lola Navas, yeah, or Navas, yeah.
Navas, yeah.
Yeah, good. We'll pick up with that in the next thing. Just want to find out where you're at. Let's go back to our dog's walk. Rob, avoiding the hustle and bustle of wagons, horses, and people on a major street, the dog hangs a right and trots down the quieter side street. Quieter side street, that is. What domesticated animal does the dog half-heartedly harass on their walk?
There's a cat sitting in a window, and it's right above the kind of where the occupants of the house have kind of thrown out some scraps of food, and the dog kind of starts sniffing around that, and as it's doing so, the cat kind of does that cat thing of just taking a lazy little swipe at the dog's nose, and the dog kind of draws back for a second, as though to say, "Seriously, you're a quarter my size," and then it just gets one quick right in the cat's face, and it scampers from its perch on the window and back into the house. And the dog goes happily back to nosing through these scraps that have been thrown outside.
So the meeting, Annette Shields did stand up and propose that they form a formal welcoming committee from the land of the living to the visitors from the spectral realm, but it didn't really take off because you didn't get a 7 to 9 on your die roll. Had you, though, it would have. So no need to worry about that. And yeah, let's pick up with Sister Mary. So Lola Navas is, well, first of all, let's actually talk about the Red Rock Cantina first. I think that's probably important since this is where it's taking place. We haven't seen this threat yet. We know the basic details, but the Red Rock Cantina and Dance Hall in general is a long single-story adobe building. The Dance Hall is the Cantina portion is a long single-story building. The Dance Hall is an adjacent 2-story wooden structure with apartments on the second floor. This meeting is taking place on the ground floor of the dance hall. The dance hall is filled with small tables and chairs, all but the first row of which are cleared on the busy standing room only nights. The main stage is a red velvet curtain that is closed during the day, but open at night to reveal a set decorated like a lady's boudoir, which was an interesting backdrop for the Marshal's speech. There's another bar in the dance hall as well whenever things are really busy. And there are some stairs that go up to the second floor that are behind the main stage, which everyone can see because the curtain is open right now. I just want to paint the scene real quick before we continue with our scenes here. How is the dance hall subtly engineered and decorated to draw all eyes to the main stage? And in tonight's case, to the Marshal's speech.
The wood paneling on the floors is not just straight. It is at a slight angle so that when you're looking down the dance hall, it's like it's a big arrow pointing towards the stage that just automatically draws your eyes.
Similarly, the panels on the room has paneling on the walls, and they are just a little bit askew so that it kind of draws the attention that direction.
And the lighting in the dance hall, all the lights are just a little stronger the closer you get to the stage, so the eye is drawn that direction.
And there's even a small window that, you know, anytime there's moonlight or sunlight, it shines right through this window and almost makes a shaft right onto the stage,
like a spotlight. Yeah, it's good. Before we get to that scene, Sister Mary, someone stands up, Marshal, and gives you your clue for ghostwriters. They say, Marshal, I don't know if this is relevant to the concerns that we are addressing here tonight, but well, there's this cat that's been coming around, and it is awfully well fed, but no one knows who's feeding it.
Thank you. Didn't catch your name.
He's like, Elmer.
Elmer, you work out at the tin mine?
He's like, oh no, Marshal, no. I'm well, I do general maintenance and handyman work. I'm pretty, if you need things to be hammered, I'm really good with a hammer or sawed. Sanded, I'm a good sander.
All right, thank you, Elmer.
I can lift things real good, Marshal.
That's excellent, Elmer. Anybody else?
Wood joints, angles coming together. You just let me know if you need anything like that, Marshal. Glass replacement as well. That's your clue, though. There's a well-fed cat. Nobody knows who's feeding it.
Somewhere in town that nobody knows. Not even like at the tin mine or anything.
Wherever Elmer is generally found. Okay, Sister Mary. Lola is. We know about Lola. Let's see. Lola Navas is. She has gray hair, framing a surprisingly youthful face. She wears a turquoise dress with gold detail. She's actually the co-owner of the Red Rock, and she's the dance manager as well. She manages the shows, and yet her own movements are surprisingly stiff and measured. She's been in El Paso for years, and she started this place when it was just a small watering hole, though she did eventually enter into a partnership with Diamond Dave in order to realize her dream of making the Red Rock Cantina a world-class entertainment venue. And she says, Sister Mary, I'm surprised to find you in a place like this. I didn't think this would be up to your moral standards.
Well, normally it wouldn't, but for some reason, the marshal decided to hold a town assembly here.
Well, don't you worry, Sister Mary. You should know that this is actually this is a good place. It's a good place for the girls, the dance hall girls, and I mean, we don't get up to anything, tawdry or it's not a brothel. It's purely for entertainment purposes.
Yes, I'm sure it's a place of absolute virtue. Well, that's neither here nor there. I need to speak to you about this. Well, and I think she gets a little quiet.
I know what you're going to ask about. And what has the Vigilance Committee learned?
Well, nothing yet. We only just learned about this.
Okay, well...
I would like to see the thing. If it is possessed or has some sort of demon in it, then the person of El Paso who is of religious superiority, me, well, I should be the one to look at it.
Well, Diamond Dave has it up in his room. I'll go get him and have him take you up there.
Why does he have it?
Sister Mary, we tried to burn the thing. Twice. Both times, it appeared again in the dressing room. So we're just keeping it locked up for safekeeping, I guess. I don't know.
Very well, take me there.
And she goes to get Diamond Dave, who will take you up to his apartment. Travis, what are you doing once the ceremony's over?
Travis is gonna tail Clarence, see where he's off to.
Wagon wheel replacement. I have replaced many a wagon wheel in my time. Slade, what are you doing in the meantime?
I feel like Slade would be mostly trying to avoid bumping up against anyone, but I feel like Mel would probably track him down.
Yeah, you can find. Yeah, if you want to have a scene with Mel, we can do that. Okay, good. So Travis, you were following who again?
Clarence.
Oh, Clarence. Yeah. Okay, good. And Slade's going to go talk to Mel. I can dig a well also, Marshall. I don't know if you need a well dug, but I know the engineering requirements.
You know a thing or two about wells. Well, you better talk to Mr. Lloyd Merrill right here. He's going to need some folks who know how to dig wells for his.
Oh, all right.
For his windmill project. Miller, talk to this man.
Oh, all right. Good. Do you just are there some documents I should fill out or something, Marshall?
No, we've got everything we need. You talk to Lloyd Miller.
It's real weird about that cat, though, don't you think? I mean, I think that's probably really important.
Sure is, Elmer. Sure is.
Good. Mel Brown comes up to you, Slade. She says, well, here I am doing another Life on the Frontier piece, local town meeting. They haunt me, these things. You know it? No matter where I go, everyone living their little provincial lives. What's all this ghost business anyway? Isn't this? I didn't learn anything at that mining camp. Did you have any better luck with it?
I did. Something dwells in the depths of the mine.
Tin, I imagine.
Likely. But something else as well.
I haven't known you long, Mr. Slade, but you are awfully damn cryptic. Just come out and say it, man. What the hell's going on around here?
There's something of a supernatural nature at the bottom of the mine, and the man who just spoke to me minutes ago is dead.
Oh, 1 second. Marshall, my man here, he wants to get a photograph. Would you mind posing for a photograph?
Let's make it quick though.
Bert gets his photography stuff set up. Meanwhile, Slade. She says, sorry, what were you saying again?
Is the man still with the neck still around?
Oh yeah, he's there. He's with a woman now. They're kind of hanging around. They're kind of hanging back of the space, watching things.
In your investigations, did you come across anything about them? And he'll nod in their direction.
And she says, oh yeah. I know that one real well. Well enough, I suppose. That, Mr. Slade, is Isabella and Edward Reynolds. Yeah.
They are noteworthy.
Yeah, noteworthy because, well, Mr. Slade, I have a feeling you're the kind of person who's going to understand this sort of thing better than other people. So I'm going to tell you something that might seem a little strange and weird, and you're going to have to just trust me on this.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Travis, Clarence has wandered over to the cantina side of the building.
I think I'm just kind of hanging back a little way, keeping my eye on him because I have, Travis has developed his suspicions about Clarence, and I don't think I'm going to approach him, but just watching what he's up to, and particularly trying to watch to see if he leaves.
Good. Let's go back to a dog's walk. Amanda, an empty building on 2nd Street used to be a butcher shop. In the heat of the night, what does the dog find to amuse itself and while away the long hours?
I think this dog has sort of snuck its way into this abandoned building through a hole in the wall just due to disrepair. And it's walking around sniffing. There's a lot of interesting smells in this place. What he finds is the wooden handle of an old butcher's knife. And not only is it the perfect stick to play with, it also has a sort of salty, kind of bloody flavor that he can, well, enjoy as a little snack, I suppose. So he does that thing that dogs do where he flips it up into the air and tries to catch it and smacks it around and runs after it and just has the time of his life alone in this abandoned shop.
Good. Sister Mary Diamond Dave takes you upstairs, the stairs that are behind the stage, up to the apartments. The apartments is a dozen rooms and living areas connected by a U-shaped hallway. The most spacious of these apartments have windows that look out over San Francisco Street. The smallest ones don't have windows at all. Each room has a comfortable bed with silk sheets and armoire, plush rugs, that kind of thing. The largest rooms also have bathtubs. But that's neither here nor there because you are going to Lola and Diamond Dave's apartment and office, which is actually 2 rooms with a shared office between them. And there's blue brocade wallpaper. And everything is kind of polished to a high shine. Paint the scene, everyone. Looking around, how do we know business is good?
All the lamps have they're full of oil, and oil is very expensive, hard to get sometimes if you're not, well, A lot of people who don't have a lot of money just use candles. The oil is full, and it's a very nice oil that when you burn it, it smells nice. It doesn't have that sort of disgusting solvent smell that oil in lamps can have.
There's a side table with, glasses and bottles of liquor, and if you look closely, all the liquor is, it's the real deal. It's Scotch whiskey, it's French brandy, it's not, the local Rotgart or, whatever's available in most of the saloons around here. It's the good stuff.
Underneath that little table, they've bothered to purchase, have transported here, and install a personal safe at tremendous expense.
On the desk is a typewriter, which would have been very hard to get at this point in time.
Good. Sister Mary. Diamond
Before
Dave takes
we
you.
do
Okay.
the Diamond Dave thing, because this is the time I've met Diamond Dave or Lola, can I access my confession move?
Yeah. How does it work?
The first time you meet a side character, you may ask the keeper what they said in their last confession. The keeper will answer, or they may ask you or another player to say.
Oh. I'll answer. Yeah. He confessed. He confessed to some pretty bad criminal doings. What it was, that's a more interesting question. Oh. The money that was used to build the cantina side, or to build the dance hall side of the cantina, that money came from a bank robbery in San Antonio.
Interesting.
Did he tell you this directly, or did you overhear it?
I think maybe somebody else confessed it to me, because they overheard it.
Oh, good. So he doesn't know you know.
Yeah.
He says, all right, well, I've got the, we should describe what he looks like too. He's very slender, wears a smart brown and white striped suit, blue tie, very pristine white shirt, and his mustache is curved at the tips. He says, listen, Sister Mary, I'm not the kind of man who disturbs easily, but right now I am well and truly disturbed. I slept behind the bar last night because I can't stand to be in the vicinity of this thing. Did Lola tell you I tried burning it, and burn it did, but not an hour later it was back, propped up in the dressing room. I could feel it looking at me. But we got to keep going, don't we? We're not going to have our business ruined by a haunted bustier, that's for sure. And he goes and he unlocks the armoire that he's keeping it in. He opens it up, and it's not there. Slade. Mel says, Mr. Slade, I did a story on those two many years ago. She says, that man, Edward, I watched him hang by the neck, hang until he was dead. Yet here he is, walking around. And that woman? She's a train robber from way, way back. But now she's going around like she's the Duchess of York. They're both bad people, and they're both from a long ago time.
I thought I recognized him. Thank you. And I think Slade will start walking toward them. And mostly because I wonder, could I use Death's morbid tongue and ask Mr. Edward a question?
Oh, yeah. I guess you can. We'll come back to that. Travis, there's a hallway connecting the cantina and the dance hall. These halls are they connect the cantina, the dance hall, and there's the same halls that connect the apartments as well. They're always dark. They always have a lingering smell of booze. The sounds of San Francisco Street penetrate the thin walls. There's to paint the scene here, but I'm going to save it for next time we come back. Give me an information move as you watch Clarence O'Toole. Do it with composure, but you have advantage because you picked Clarence for the assemblage.
Good, because I bumped it last time. Oh no, my composure is -1. Okay. But that is a 9.
All right, you got a 9, you said?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 9.
I'll give you a clue when we get back. Wyatt, one of the dance hall girls, you might know her by name. She is, what's her name? Hannah Russell. She comes up to you after you're done taking pictures. She comes up on the stage and she says, Marshal Walker, I don't know if this is connected to anything that's going on, but, well, Luann Fontenot, she just disappeared. Lola says Luann got an urgent telegram from back home, but why would she just leave without telling anyone? And
when did she leave?
Well, a couple days ago, and Lola and Diamond Dave are acting awfully strange. I walked up behind Diamond Dave yesterday, and he practically jumped out of his skin, and he hissed at me like a cat, like some kind of crazed polecat. I think there's something going on. And then she says, I think it has something to do with this. And she gives you a stack of letters, love letters, addressed to Luann from Diamond Dave. And that's your clue for the corset.
Thanks for bringing me these. There might be something going on, and this might have some answers in it.
She's like, yeah, but just do me a favor and don't tell Lola I gave this to you, or Diamond Dave.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
And she quickly gets off the stage. All the dance hall girls that are there are all just wearing like dressing gowns. They're neither dressed for the show or for entertainment. They are dressed for comfort right now. And she kind of goes back down into the crowd. Our final stop on a dog's walk. Ben, headed back to the barn across town, the dog smells something scaly under the boardwalk. What scars show how this dog previously learned to avoid scaly smelling things?
Dogs are have developed over the years to be very good at hiding injury and pain. And it's only when there's nothing else around that we see that the dog kind of guards its rear left leg. It doesn't quite hobble, but when it's relaxed, you can see that it's stiff and withered. And if you could peek under that yellow fur, you'd see two little wounds right above the ankle where it had tangled with a rattlesnake.
Good. Sister Mary, the corset is not there. Diamond Dave is like, oh, sweat breaks out. He's like, I think it's going to do something again, Sister Mary. We gotta get out of here. We've got to warn people. But we can't cause a panic. We cannot cause a panic.
Sister Mary stares at the empty cabinet and does a quick sign of the cross and turns to him and says, you and that woman made this happen. Do you realize when you have a place like this, a place that is so wrong, where people come to be, I can't even say it, I can't even think it. You've set this up. You brought this upon the people here. I need you to understand that. It's like when blood seeps into wood. This whole place has just badness, wrongness seeped into the walls. You've brought this upon this place. You've brought this upon El Paso.
And he just sort of like looks blank-faced and stunned. And he says, a little bit of sweat on his lip, I better get downstairs now. And he goes back downstairs to the dance hall. Travis, you're watching Clarence O'Toole in the relatively empty cantina, although more and more people are kind of moving over in that direction. And you will notice Clarence goes to sit down at a darkened table in the back corner. And as you move to get in a position to look at him better, you realize that it's the person sitting there is not Clarence. It's a woman, though she's wearing Clarence's clothes. And she looks up at you and she says, shuffling her cards, come on over, young Travis. Let me deal you in.
And Travis just, God damn it.
Please take
Where's Clarence?
Please take a condition marked by the Daisy Man, or just change Clarence O'Toole to be the Daisy Man.
Where's Clarence?
She just smiles. Slade, you said you were going to go approach Edward Reynolds directly?
Yes.
Isabella, who's appears to be in her late 20s, wearing a very like fine purple velvet gown with some very expensive amethyst jewelry. She says, oh, look, Edward dear, there's our good friend coming to say hello.
As he approaches, he's going to try and de-emphasize his limp as much as he can. And he's going to say to Isabella, I don't believe we were properly introduced. And he will slip off his glove and extend his hand to shake.
She says, very, very clever, Mr. Slade. This is not the first time we've dealt with you, though you are certainly in a more interesting form than we saw you last. Did you have something you wanted to ask my husband and I?
He'll turn to Edward and just say, "Who brought you back?"
Oh, to answer that question, Mr. Slade, we would have to start at the beginning. 48 years ago, when we first discovered the long black locomotive, when the wounded night filled the landscape with an otherworldly red glow, the passenger cars of the ghost train filled with the undead. They apathetically handed over their jewelry, their cash, all the valuables they'd been buried with. Isabella and I returned every 6 years to take from the dead. I suppose in some way we have you to thank for that largesse.
No. But you can thank me for your return trip when it comes.
Wyatt. Your third clue for the corset comes in the form of poor Hannah Russell as she screams, her scream cutting through the din of the crowd. Everyone watches as poor Hannah Russell's ribs crack. You can hear the sweat cracking sound. You can see the blood bubbling up from her mouth and dripping out of her ears and eyes. And her robe falls open to reveal the corset around her body. Your final clue is Hannah Russell's death during the assemblage. That concludes the night phase.
Did we get a clue on Daisy Man? I think you
cat.
might have given us.
Oh no! Did I double
you gave
up
us
on
2
something?
on the corset. Yeah.
Oh, I did. Well, that's okay.
Oh, well.
You can take 2 on the
That's all
corset. Take 2 on the corset. It's not that big of a deal. It's good enough that the Daisy Man showed up, I think, to the assemblage. Dawn phase. No threats were resolved, but we do go to dawn questions. Everyone answered a capital Q question, so everyone gets credit for that one. You did not resolve a threat, but you might have experienced an echo in the night. Sidewinder Kid.
I was working up to it, but I did not. I was all ready to like bark in somebody's face, like the dog did to the cat, but did not get the opportunity.
Sister Mary, did you get an echo in the night?
Yeah, with the blood on the butcher knife thing. I don't know anything about butcher knives, so the blood that soaked into the butcher knife that the dog was playing in, the blood that soaks into the walls.
Yeah. Slade, did you get an echo in the night?
I was going for with the lazy swipe
yeah.
at Isabella, but also
Yeah.
the hiding his leg.
Oh, yeah. Wyatt, did you get one?
Yeah, I was trying for the dog is coughing and sneezing with all the pepper, and Wyatt is coughing to clear his voice.
Mhm. Okay, let's go back to the Sidewinder kid. Did you show off with a firearm? You did not today.
I did not get a chance. I'm surprised. Yeah.
Did you test to see if your reputation is spreading without naming yourself?
No, I mean the closest I got to that was Clarence, calling me by my nickname, but that wasn't something that I prompted him to do.
Yeah, I don't think it's in the spirit of the question in any case.
No, not at all.
Sister Mary, did you let yourself be driven by guilt?
I don't think so.
Did you decide to not give a damn, turning your back on righteousness? I think you did the opposite of that.
I was full on righteous.
Yeah. Slade, did you respectfully help a dying mortal cross over? I don't think you did.
So I didn't have the scene, but it didn't happen last time either. So I was wondering, like,
Oh, you can take it now. If you haven't gotten credit for it, you can take credit for it. Did you punish a wayward soul by sending it back to the spirit realm?
Not yet.
I think you're getting ready. Do you want to? You clearly are aiming for that. Marshal Walker, did you come up with a rational explanation before accepting a supernatural truth? Kind of with a net, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with a net, like,
Yeah.
I'm saying, oh no, that's like got to be a daughter or something. Like you're thinking too hard about it in that.
Yeah. Did you deliver a cold monologue about the cruelty of justice?
I don't think so.
I don't remember it. So.
I don't think so.
Fantastic. You can all mark new dawn questions if you wish. Do we have any playbook or custom moves that need to be done during the dawn phase? Anyone can think of? Maybe that rotten kid.
Yeah. I was just trying to find that.
You did do the task you were
Yep.
set to, so I think you're okay as far as that goes. And that just leaves Janice mask prompts. Does anybody have any outstanding?
I have one.
Take it away.
Does anybody else have any?
I have one as well.
I combined mine into one already, so
Yeah, I've got a Mask of the Past to do.
All right, whoever wants to go for it.
I can go. It's narrate a flashback to the traumatic event that convinced you to pursue theological training. We are, again, back in London, and Harriet is sitting in a dirty jail cell. It's night again. You can tell the day is the night is foggy again. There's not a lot of light streaming in through the very small window that she has, but her nose is crinkled up. It's stinky. It smells of sewage. It's disgusting in here. It's not very well kept. She's looking very raggedy. She's clearly been in here a while. And eventually a guard comes and opens up the cell and says, "Well, your turn now." She heaves a big sigh and follows him out the door to basically a carriage that's going to take her to a ship to take her to the Americas. She's been ousted like a common criminal for trying to steal from a very wealthy lady here in London. And she really doesn't know what to do with herself. She only has on her person her small little Bible. And as she is in the carriage on her way to this ship, she looks out and she sees again her lady, her angel, standing on the corner of a street under a lit lamp. And in the fog, it does look like she's got these immense wings and a halo, just like in the stories. And at that moment, Harriet knows that all of the horror that she just went through in the jail cell and every terrible thing that's going to happen on her way across the sea to the Americas, being banished from England forever, it's going to be worth it if she just commits herself fully. And she knows that because of the beauty that her angel represents and the beauty that her angel has brought into her life, she can bring that to other places. She just has to commit. And that's the moment she decides to give up her name and take on the name Sister Mary Erstwhile. she's going to be someone different in the States.
Fabulous. Thank you.
So I'm narrating a flashback to when you fled to El Paso and the old Marshal hid you with a friend, family member, or former lover. Wyatt arrives in El Paso, still wearing the same looking age as the flashback to the really violent crime. Still wearing the same clothes, but covered in a duster, the same duster that he wears to this day. Riding on a horse fast, and he just kind of bursts into the old Marshal's house and is confronted by a quickly drawn Lamat revolver as the Marshal is standing in there. The revolver is quickly reholstered as he realizes who's standing in front of him, and Wyatt kind of just puts his hands up, and the coat opens up and you can see the blood. And he says, "Uncle, we need your help real bad." And I think that's the scene.
Fantastic. Are there any more Janus Mask prompts? Okay. That concludes our session. Let's do stars and wishes. Good session. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I really enjoyed my confrontation with Sister Mary at the church. That was, I really love the way Amanda gives me the opportunity to kind of, Travis is normally so full of bluster and lording it over people, but she's the one person he will not stand up to, and like exposes him as kind of the child that he still is to some extent. And that was really fun. I really loved sorry, I'm blanking on the name here, but the railroad man's voice was fantastic.
Oh, Edward Reynolds.
That was genuinely a pretty disturbing voice. I enjoyed the interaction of Slade with the reporter character, who's kind of this, feisty and extremely, what's the word, kind of rational minded character that's got a lot of potential to go interesting places, I think. And I also feel like it would be a fun opportunity if like Travis crossed paths with her. I can imagine that interaction being kind of interesting, because he would probably try and show off enormously. But yeah, I love just Slade's kind of monosyllabic interaction with everyone. Yeah, and it feels like Wyatt is building to something. That was fun to witness. I didn't know about. I haven't really read any of the playbook moves other than the one I'm doing, so I didn't know about this whole kind of assemblage thing. That was a really interesting mechanic, and that created a fun scene. So, yeah, lots of good stuff.
Yeah, stars for me. I've got so many stars. I thought this was a really, really good session, and I liked so much about it. But just picking out little details, I absolutely loved the Mask of the Cat, where Slade sneaks into the Marshal's room and then sneaks back out. That was really, really good. But all of those Mask of the Cat prompts were really good. The narrations were quite good. I feel like we learned a lot about those characters in all those moments, so that was really good. I love this sort of cosmic horror aspects of what's going on in the mind. I thought that was really fun. I absolutely love the assemblage move. It's really, really good. no one has any reason to know this, but like we worked on that move for a long time at getting it like where it would work properly in play and not like disrupt the rest of the game structure, because it really does like it's a very interesting introduction into the structure of the game. And I thought it went really well. I was really, really happy with it. The scenes were good. It was a very classic genre thing. I mean, this game does the Western genre like so well. I mean, just delivers on every genre thing that you could want. So I just really love that. And so yeah, I really love just kind of like how the assemblage brought everyone together, characters and side characters and mastermind, and just sort of had everyone kind of like doing stuff together. It was really, really good. Great scene. Yeah, and I also enjoyed the scene between Sister Mary and Travis in the beginning. That dynamic is really intriguing. Yeah, just overall great session.
If it's cool, I'll whip through mine real fast, and then I need to jet. But yeah, the scene with Sister Mary erstwhile getting her wrath on was really just perfect. I really enjoyed seeing the assemblage move in action, and also David Wyatt's speech was so good. Travis getting some scenes with Travis without someone pointing a gun at you was good, and I look forward to seeing hopefully more. I would really like to see more of Travis and Sister Mary as well. I think everyone seems to have a really good dynamic, and be good to get more paired rotational things. Jason, I'm really digging what's at the bottom of the tin mine. I hope that comes up in interesting ways, and I look forward to learning more about the mastermind. They seem delightful. So thank you. And with that, I need to go. Thanks very much.
All right, bye, Ben.
Take care.
Yeah.
Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. Oh, okay. Star for obviously a big star for me for the corset mystery. I worked for a corset shop for like 12 years, so I love everything about corsets. Haunted corset, love it. I'm here for all of this. I love it so much. So big star for that. I'm very excited about it. I really liked, Jason, your voices were super on point today. Like the creepy voices were creepy and everything, but I laughed so much at your character that was saying when he was talking about the pharaohs and Charon, the pharaoh and Charon.
and the pharaohs, yeah.
So good. It was so on point, and it really, really tickled me. I loved Travis going around town being a deputy, but before he was deputized, and everybody was just like a little bit condescending. And it was just very entertaining to me. He's trying to be this big man about town, and it wasn't really working. Rob, I also really loved your dog unseen. It was really cute. I like this unseen about the dog. It does remind me of the Littlest Hobo, so that's great. Ben's gone, but I really loved the whole bit where Slade was walking through the mines. There was just something really poignant, like evocative to me about Death walking through these spooky mines by himself, and all the spookiness that was happening there. I really liked that. I would have watched an entire session of that, I think. And then I really loved the vulnerable scene with Wyatt, where Wyatt was being vulnerable, but also like very big brotherly, which is not something we get to see a lot when Wyatt and Travis interact together. So it's really fun to see that sort of full circle picture of their relationship, and I think you did a really great job with that, David, with really making that super effective in such a short time. And yeah, it was very touching.
Thanks. Yeah, I thought that we got great scenes with every character in this, and like every side character included. Like every side character that was in this session was like not a throwaway, and was like really nailing and doing a fun thing, and being just had good little characterizations. Elmer, very fun. Town yokel who is sharing the big clue about this cat, but then also needs to take up a lot more of your time with all of the other things that he's doing in his life. Lloyd Miller, who's standing there with an air rifle, feeling very awkward.
Elmer has more of a comment than a question.
Yeah, exactly. Lloyd Miller, who's standing there with his air rifle, very confused. I think the entire time I'm talking to him on camera, your eyes are like shifting back and forth, like why me? Like, what do you want from me? So that was inspiring to see that kind of character work happening when it's
that anybody who just listens to the audio of it won't get that, unfortunately. But yeah, I was playing up Lloyd silently at that moment.
Yeah. So all of that was wonderful. I thought that seeing Sister Mary's vice was great, but then kind of seeing it almost carry forward the self-righteous attitude in the dance hall with the like owner in his office was really good, and a good way to like claw for the echo. That was particularly good echo, I thought. And then Travis, like, it's cool that like you're playing the kid who's trying to kind of do the right thing and not get in like murderous gunfights. That's like an entirely different way to play the kid than like anybody else that I've seen play this so far. So I like it, and I like how like you still have to, but you're like reluctant, and like seeing that kind of carry forward, and like getting to see you in the bank and resisting this like you're a kid, aren't you, like thing, and try and like still be like, no, I'm like an adult, is like every time that happens is great. And then for Slade, I thought it was pretty cool how he was dealing with the kind of limitation of like being wounded in the leg, but still needing to like travel a long ways, kind of hitching a ride with some other people. Love when the death touch fires off and somebody gets withered. Love when that happens. So all of that was great.
Yeah, you brought up a really good point there about the side characters. One thing I meant to mention was like that whole town meeting seemed really to come alive, because there were just like a whole bunch of side characters, and they all like, they were quite distinct, and they were all interesting, and I was kind of scrambling to like note down who these people are in case they come up later, and yeah, it was really fun. Like it really felt like a town that was alive there.
If a 7 to 9 had gotten rolled on the roll for assemblage, Annette Shields was going to insist on the formation of like a spectral welcoming committee, like from the town, like to welcome the ghosts. And if you'd gotten a miss, it was going to be really crazy if you'd gotten a miss on that. But yeah.
I mean, I set us in a very dangerous place for the miss result. What's it say? On a 7 to 9, a side character in attendance will raise a fuss about a mundane issue in the town and take the condition marked by them, which cannot be cleared until you deal with the issue to their satisfaction. Yeah, that would have been rough.
Yeah, with Travis, like it's interesting. I'm trying to do this thing where he has this power given to him with these guns, and he wants to use it to do the right thing. But of course, that's not what it is, right? That's never gonna work. So, that's his naivety, and yeah, it's a dark path, and there's no avoiding that, right?
Yeah, there's something really effective in that. This is the second campaign of this I'm running, and both have a kid in it. The other ones we've only done one session, but already it's really interesting how the fact that the move dictates you must kill the person, like you have no choice. Like it has such a big effect on just like the way you play the character, because you have this countervailing force of the sibling, right? Like it's like the sibling who's like trying to like stop killing people, stop doing things, stop be a productive member of society, and then this like lady in gold like putting people in your way to be killed, and you can't do anything about it. Like you have to do it. And it's every shootout scene has been, with yesterday's session, it's like the fourth one I've done now. They've all been so good. Like they've all been like the cherry on the top of the session. Like they've all been like really, really great scenes. And it's because of that tension. It's like, yes, you always hit. Yes, you're the best shot. You're always the fastest shot, but you must always kill. And it's like a really, and then like how they choose to do it, salvation or damnation. It's a really good move. Like it it's
like Travis
Yeah.
wants to use those guns to like save Wyatt or to like punish a criminal who has it coming or something, but that's not the person that's standing in front of him ever, right?
Nope.
So,
And that's not why you were given the guns, right? You were
Yeah.
given the
Yeah,
so
exactly.
you were given the guns to dispatch people. So
Right. Yeah, you don't get to wound them, you have to kill them. And yeah, the choice of sibling definitely influences how that's gonna feel. If you were
Mhm.
perhaps sibling with a bootstrapper who's like a real nasty
which I was
bootstrapper,
before, yeah.
then you might have a little bit more leeway about like
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah, I could see
Yeah.
that. Yeah,
Mhm.
like it could be more brutal or more. Yeah,
mhm.
that's
Yeah,
interesting.
you could be
You're almost more of an enforcer.
instrument of their
Yeah,
instrument of their kind of acquisition of power in a way. Yeah.
yeah, it's good. Any more stars or wishes? I don't have any wishes apart from I just want more of this. I'm just really loving it. So yeah.
I can't wait for more spooky corset. I'm just so excited about that.
Yeah, it's a great threat. It's a closed room threat. It all takes place in one building, but it's really good. Like that building is very well realized. So yeah, definitely get involved in that one. I'm glad we got to see it a little bit today. All right, awesome. Well, if there's nothing else, everyone please wave goodbye.